In the quiet heart of a forgotten countryside stood an abandoned mansion known only to a few as the Marrow Estate. The building had been empty for decades, its windows shattered, its walls cloaked in ivy, and the wind whispering through its hollow corridors like an old, dying voice. Locals avoided it entirely. They said something in that house wasn't just haunted, it was alive. The mansion had belonged to a reclusive family, the Carrows, who had once been the pride of the nearby town. But in 1937, something happened that silenced their name forever. One by one, members of the Carrow family vanished. The house was searched many times, but no one was ever found. Only one room remained sealed with iron locks, the room at the end of the West Wing corridor. The locals called it the Silent Room. Over the years, the legend grew. It was said that anyone who dared to enter that room would walk in fine, but once they came out, they would never speak again. Not out of choice, but because something inside took their voice and their sanity with it. Decades later, a young documentary filmmaker named Ethan Brooks decided to uncover the truth. He was drawn to the house by stories passed down through generations, claiming strange sounds, soft humming, childlike laughter, and whispers, still echoed from within. Ethan didn't believe in curses or ghosts. He believed in explanations, psychological, scientific, or otherwise. But he had no idea that he was about to step into a story that would rewrite his belief in reality. Ethan arrived one gray afternoon with 2 cameras, a flashlight, and a recorder. The forest surrounding the mansion seemed unusually still, as if nature itself was holding its breath. The heavy front door groaned open with the push of his shoulder, releasing a stale gust of air that smelled of rot and something faintly metallic. Dust floated through the dim light, turning the silence into something almost tangible. He began recording. "Day 1, the Marrow Estate," he said, his voice steady. "Locals claim this place is cursed. My goal is to find the truth." The floors creaked under his boots. Paint peeled from the walls like shedding skin. He passed portraits of the Carrow family. Faces stern and lifeless, eyes that seemed to follow his every move. In one hallway, he found deep scratches on the floorboards, as though someone or something had been dragged away. When he reached the West Wing, the air grew colder. The silence thickened, almost pressing against his eardrums. His camera flickered, and then he saw it, the iron door, rusted, chained, with a carved plaque that simply read, "Do not enter." Ethan's curiosity won over fear. He set up his tripod and began recording again. "If there's truth behind these stories," he said, "this room holds it." He broke the lock with a crowbar, and the moment the metal snapped, a deep vibration rolled through the floor. The door opened with a slow, aching groan. Inside was nothing but darkness. His flashlight beam revealed an empty chair, a cracked mirror, and symbols carved into the walls, circles, lines, and strange markings that seemed to move when he wasn't looking directly at them. He stepped in. The door slammed shut behind him. At first, he thought it was the wind, but then, the temperature dropped so fast that his breath came out in clouds. The sound of his own heartbeat filled the air. And then he heard it, a whisper, not from his recorder, not from outside. From right beside his ear, said one word, soft, drawn out, and chilling. "Stay." Ethan froze. His camera flickered again, the lens distorting. He tried to speak, but the sound caught in his throat. The whispers grew louder. Different voices now, male and female, young and old, overlapping like a chorus of trapped souls. The last thing his camera captured was his face turning toward the mirror. A reflection that wasn't his. The image cut to black. The next morning, the police found Ethan's car parked by the road. The front door of the mansion was open, the camera lying by the entrance, still recording static. Ethan was gone. When they watched the footage, one thing stood out. In the final frame, scrawled across the wall behind the chair, were the words, "He spoke." No one has entered the silent room since. Years passed after Ethan Brooks disappeared inside the Marrow Estate. His footage became urban legend, an internet mystery that spread across horror forums and late-night podcasts. Some believed it was a hoax. Others swore it was real. But one thing was certain, No one who entered the silent room was ever the same again. Then came Ava Morgan, a popular paranormal content creator with millions of followers. Unlike others, Ava wasn't doing this for fame. She wanted truth. Ethan Brooks had been her mentor in film school before his disappearance. When she learned that the Marrow estate still stood deep in the woods of upstate New York, she made a decision that would change everything. Her crew, Chris Lang, a tech genius with a skeptical streak, and Logan Pierce, a fearless cameraman, agreed to join her on one condition: that they'd leave if anything felt wrong. They arrived on a foggy evening in late October. The sky was the color of dying embers, the trees black silhouettes against the fading light. The estate looked almost alive beneath the fog, its windows glinting faintly like eyes, its roofline crooked like a grin. As they set up the cameras, Ava recorded her opening statement. "Tonight, we're returning to the Marrow estate, the site of one of the most mysterious disappearances in modern paranormal history. We'll explore the silent room and maybe, finally, we'll find out what happened to Ethan Brooks." Her voice trembled slightly, though she tried to hide it. Inside, the air was heavy. A smell of burnt wood and dampness filled the hallways. Their flashlights cut through layers of dust. Each step echoed longer than it should have, as if the house was amplifying their presence. Chris scanned for electromagnetic signals. "Nothing unusual yet," he said, but his equipment began glitching, the readings spiking, then flatlining. Logan laughed nervously. "Probably bad wiring," he muttered, but the fear in his tone betrayed him. As they explored deeper, the house began to feel wrong. The corridors seemed to change length. Doors that led to one room moments ago opened into something different. Logan said he swore he saw someone move past the stairs, a tall figure in the dark. When they reached the west wing, they stopped. The door to the silent room was no longer iron. It had been replaced with polished wood, carved with intricate symbols, circles, spirals, and something that resembled eyes. Someone had been here recently. Ava placed her hand on the door. It was warm. "Are you getting this?" she whispered. Logan nodded, the camera trembling slightly. She turned the handle. The door creaked open. The flashlight beams fell across the room, and every one of them froze. Hundreds of dolls lined the walls. Old-fashioned porcelain ones, cracked and pale, with glassy eyes that reflected the light. Some were sitting, some hanging by strings from the ceiling, and others piled in corners as if discarded. But their faces, all of them, were turned toward the door. The air felt heavier, almost suffocating. This wasn't here in the footage," Chris murmured. "Someone added them." They stepped inside. The door closed by itself, slowly but firmly, until the click of the latch echoed like a heartbeat. Logan aimed his camera around. "Look at this," he whispered, zooming in on the far wall. A black mirror stood there, covered by a tattered cloth. Beneath it was a chair, the same one from Ethan's footage. The carvings on the walls had changed. What were once random shapes now looked like words, though none of them could read the language. Ava's voice shook. "Let's document everything and leave." But as she spoke, Chris began to back away. "Did you hear that?" The others stopped. From somewhere inside the walls came the faint sound of a music box playing, a soft, repeating lullaby. Then the dolls' heads began to turn, one by one, toward the sound. Logan swore under his breath. "That's not possible." Then something shifted behind the mirror. A shadow, tall, thin, moving. Ava pulled the cloth away, revealing not their reflections, but a different room entirely. Inside the mirror, they saw Ethan Brooks, standing still, camera in hand, eyes wide and lifeless. Chris stumbled back, trembling. "It's a projection. It has to be." But the mirror rippled like water. And then Ethan smiled. The camera lights flickered violently. The air temperature plummeted. The music box stopped. Suddenly, Ava realized Chris was trying to speak, but no sound came out. His lips moved desperately, eyes wide with panic, throat straining. Nothing. Logan turned to help him, but his camera clattered to the floor, lens shattering. A whisper filled the room. It was a woman's voice, soft and melodic, like a lullaby spoken from another world. "You shouldn't have come back." The mirror cracked. The dolls began to whisper, their voices blending into one eerie chorus. Ava screamed, reaching for the door, but it wouldn't budge. Her flashlight flickered, and in the brief flashes of light, she saw them. Dozens of pale faces staring back from the dark, all with sewn mouths and lifeless eyes. Then silence. When the police arrived the next morning, they found the cruise van parked by the road, doors open, gear scattered. Inside the house, they found 3 cameras still recording. The footage was disturbing. The final frame showed the 3 investigators sitting in the silent room, completely still. Their eyes open, faces expressionless, mouths tightly sealed as though sewn shut with something invisible. But in the background of that same video, just before it ended, there was a faint reflection in the broken mirror. Ava Morgan, staring back, smiling. Authorities sealed off the house once again. But every few months, hikers report strange sounds coming from the woods near the Marrow estate. Some hear faint music box melodies. Others say they've seen flickering lights in the windows or a camera flash in the darkness. And every so often, a new video appears online, uploaded from an unknown account. The thumbnails always show the same thing. The silent room, a single chair, and faint words scratched into the wall behind it. "She spoke." No one knows who's uploading the footage, or how. But those who've watched the full videos claim something strange happens afterward. Whispers in their homes, flickering lights, and an overwhelming sense that they're not alone. Some say the curse of the silent room didn't end with the Carrows, or with Ethan Brooks. It moved into the digital world, hiding inside the screens of those who dare to watch. So if you're watching this now, if you can hear a faint whisper behind your speakers, maybe it's already found you. And if you feel someone breathing just over your shoulder, whatever you do, don't turn around. Because once you see her, you'll never speak again.